My name is Veronica Cross. I'm 32, a single mother, and the invisible disgrace of a very visible family. While my sister Miranda married into old East Coast wealth and wears her last name like a designer label, I work as a physical therapist in a strip mall clinic and raise my 5-year-old son, Eli, in a 2-bedroom apartment with a leaky ceiling and a view of the back alley. My parents still send Christmas cards with only Miranda's family photo on it, like I was a typo they decided to ignore. I've learned to smile at the silence, to sit through dinner parties where my son is called a bastard under a breath that's still loud enough to burn. But I didn't fight back. Not yet. You see, what Miranda didn't know was that while she was busy humiliating me in front of our relatives, someone was quietly sending me proof that her perfect life was a lie. And once I opened that email, there was no going back. The air reeked of lilacs and champagne. Miranda always overdid the flowers, nothing subtle about her. Her house wasn't a home, it was a showroom for perfection. Mahogany floors, saltwater pool, fake smiles. Eli gripped my hand tighter as we walked up the stone steps to the front door. His tie was crooked. His shoes, too big. He beamed anyway. Is Grandma gonna like the picture I drew? She's gonna love it, sweetheart, I whispered, kissing his hair. Inside, I recognized the soundtrack first, Vivaldi. Then the laughter. Then her voice. You're late, Miranda greeted from across the room, her mouth full of teeth and contempt. We came from my shift, I said, keeping my smile tight. Eli wanted to hand Grandma his gift himself. Dad waved from near the bar. Mom stood stiff next to him, like her spine had turned to ice. No one approached us. No one moved. I let Eli go. He darted toward the dining table, carefully placing his folded drawing next to a vase full of peonies. I watched him from the corner of my eye, every step, every breath. Then it happened. He bumped into Lila, Miranda's youngest, who immediately shrieked as grape juice spilled down her pastel dress. It was one of those moments the whole room inhaled at once. Oh my God, Lila, are you okay? Miranda gasped dramatically. Lila pouted. Not hurt. Just damp. Then Miranda's eyes cut to Eli. Cold. Clinical. This is what happens, she said, wiping her daughter's arm, when bastards don't have fathers to teach them manners. No one moved. Not a gasp. Not a word. Even the music stopped for half a second, like the speaker itself flinched. Eli blinked up at her, confused. My fingers curled into fists. But I didn't speak. Not here. Not yet. We left 5 minutes later. I said Eli was tired. He was. He didn't understand the word. Not fully. But he understood shame. We walked across the gravel driveway, the sky a bruised purple above the trees. The wind was sharp. I opened the car door and helped him in. Then I saw it. A white envelope tucked under my windshield wiper. I scanned the yard. No one was near. Inside the envelope, a single line, handwritten in thin ink. You heard her. But do you know what she's hiding? I didn't sleep that night. I lay next to Eli, his tiny back pressed into my chest, and watched headlights pass across the ceiling. My head spun. Hate is a slow boil. But humiliation? That's a flash fire. And this time, I wasn't going to put it out. I was going to let it burn. She didn't just call my son a bastard. She declared war. The envelope burned a hole in my glove compartment all night. I didn't open it in front of Eli. Not while he was humming in the back seat, swinging his legs like the world was still safe. I waited until he was asleep. Curled under his dinosaur blanket, one arm flung across his stuffed turtle like a shield. I watched him for 5 full minutes before I slipped out of bed, shut the bathroom door, and locked it. I tore the envelope open. Inside, a thumb drive. And a sticky note. One word. Watch. My laptop groaned to life. The room flickered with its blue glow. Heart in my throat. I slid the drive in. A grainy video file loaded. Security cam footage. Timestamped 8 weeks ago. A boardroom. Miranda. Hair tied back. Manicured fingers flipping through papers. Across the table sat a man I didn't recognize, gray suit, slick hair, eyes that didn't blink. She passed him a folder. He slid her a USB. Whispered something. Then Miranda turned, looked dead into the camera. Not by accident. Like she knew. The footage ended. My palms were sweating. My spine locked. I dragged the mouse, opened the folder again. Another file. Bank of Providence, internal memo. Unauthorized access. Account flagged, Holland 52. I'd never heard of it. But the numbers made my stomach twist. Wire transfers, offshore shells, something involving Grant. No, not possible. A whisper ran through my head. Everyone wears a mask until the wind rips it off. I called Nina. She picked up on the first ring. That bitch crossed the line. It's worse, I said. There's something going on. Money stuff. A man. A meeting. She looked into the camera like she knew someone was watching. She always knows. She just doesn't always care. I told her about the memo. The file. The thumb drive. I need to know what Holland 52 is, I said. Nina exhaled. My ex-husband used to work at BOP. I can still get into their system. I'll ping around. But if we get caught, I don't care. Cut scene. Morning. Clinic waiting room. Phones buzzing. Feet squeaking across linoleum. I check my inbox every 10 minutes. Nothing. At noon, my phone lit up. Nina. One text. Get here. Now. And don't tell anyone. I told the front desk I had a family emergency. I drove like my tires were on fire. Nina lived in a converted warehouse off Chestnut Street. Inside smelled like old coffee and dusted secrets. She pulled me in before I knocked twice. You're not gonna like this, she said, dragging me toward her kitchen counter. Laptop open. Screen glowing. She scrolled fast. I used David's login. The system flagged Holland 52 as a dormant shell, except someone woke it up 6 weeks ago. Huge amounts moved in. Out. Then redirected into a secondary account. I leaned over. The secondary account had a code name. Cross M.B. Cross. Miranda Benton. Blood roared in my ears. That's money laundering, I said. Nina nodded. Big time. She opened a second file, video footage from a staff holiday party at Grant's office. Miranda in a red dress. Laughing. Talking too close to someone. Jasmine. His assistant. The girl who was just a friend. Same girl I'd seen commenting hearts on his Instagram last summer. Same one he called genius under every post. Miranda knew. And yet she smiled through it. The rich don't implode. They rot silently behind velvet curtains. Cut scene. Doorbell. Nina flinched. I looked at her. You expecting anyone? No. We both stood frozen. A second knock. Harder. Nina moved to the window. Peeled back the curtain 1 inch. Nobody. Just a small black box sitting on her porch. I opened the door. Stepped out slowly. The wind cut through my coat. No sound. No car. No footsteps. I picked it up. Light. No return address. Back inside, I opened the lid. A burner phone. Prepaid. Already powered on. One text on the screen. Stay out of this. Or your bastard won't grow up. I didn't blink. I didn't breathe. I handed it to Nina. She read it. Her lips went white. They're watching you, she whispered. No, I said, throat raw. They've been watching me for years. I just started watching back. I turned to the window. There was no one there. But I felt it. Eyes in the trees. Holland 52. Whatever that is, it's what they're willing to kill for. It started with a phone call. Block number. 9:04 p.m. I didn't answer. Let it ring. 30 seconds later, text. We need to talk. Face to face. About Miranda. I stared at it. Then typed, who is this? No reply. But I knew. Some part of me already knew. Cut scene. Eli was asleep. Nina was still digging through shell records. I slipped out quietly and drove. I didn't tell anyone where. The address pinged on my GPS, an upscale lounge on the outskirts of Atlantic City. Dim lighting. Crystal glasses. Jazz bleeding through velvet walls. I spotted him instantly. Gray suit. Pale eyes. Clean shave. The man from the security footage. He waved me over like we were old friends. You're Veronica, he said. Miranda's sister. You're the man trading files with my sister behind a locked door. He smirked. Not much for small talk, are you? No. He leaned back, sipped bourbon, eyes never leaving mine. Name's Nolan. I manage accounts. Discreet ones. Like Holland 52? His smile froze for half a beat. That was all I needed. He recovered. You're braver than I expected. You're filthier than she let on. A beat. The jazz changed keys. He slid a folder across the table. I'm not your enemy. You want to take Miranda down? You'll need this. Inside, printed emails. Spreadsheets. Photos. One name kept repeating. AMC Trust. A private holding fund based out of Delaware. Multiple sub-accounts. One labeled Mother.Bird. Another, Cross Youth Benefit. They were laundering money using a fake nonprofit tied to children's scholarships. Kids who never saw a cent. Eli's school name was on the list. My throat closed. Nolan watched me. I warned her. She thought blood was thicker than evidence. He downed the last of his bourbon. You're sitting on a grenade. Pull the pin right, it'll blow up in her face. And wrong? It blows up in yours. Cut scene. Nina's apartment. I laid the folder out on her counter. She scanned through the data, her breath quickening. This is massive. Federal crime massive. Where would they hide backups? Not online. If they're smart, it's on an external drive. Off-grid. Physical. We went quiet. Then Nina snapped her fingers. Her party. What party? Miranda's anniversary party next weekend. Public. Flashy. But behind closed doors, she's hosting a private toast with close friends, Grant, Jasmine, maybe Nolan. She'd keep the files there? Better, she might be passing them. If she knows someone circling. I stared at the window. The night pressed in like a sealed bag. She called Eli a bastard, I said slowly. In front of everyone. Maybe it's time she chokes on her own words. Cut scene. The invitation came in the mail 2 days later. Cream paper. Gold foil. My name written in careful calligraphy. Veronica Cross. RSVP requested. I folded it shut. Put it back in the envelope. Tension built behind my ribs like a scream with nowhere to go. I RSVP'd yes. Cut to black. And I started packing a wire. The Bentley out front screamed money. Old money. Miranda's money. The ballroom was inside the Eastwick estate, marble floors, chandeliers like galaxies, staff dressed in black like they were mourning something. Maybe the truth. Everyone smiled too hard. Laughed too loud. The rich don't blend in, they dominate the room. I moved like a ghost among them. Eli was home with Nina. I didn't wear red. I wore navy blue, clean, sharp, watchful. The wire was hidden in my bra strap, voice activated. The recorder slipped inside a lip balm container. They'd never see it coming. Veronica. Miranda glided toward me, glass of champagne in hand, sequins catching every light. Didn't think you'd show. You invited me. Yes, but you're not usually so bold. I smiled. I'm evolving. Behind her, Grant lingered. Fake laugh. Realize. Jasmine stood too close again. I could smell her perfume, sharp, artificial. Like her. Cut scene. 10 minutes in, I was introduced to the inner circle. Nolan was there, nodding like we hadn't met in secret. Another man I didn't recognize, white hair, limp handshake, expensive watch. Later Nina would confirm, Everett Fielding, the man behind AMC Trust. Toast time. They ushered us into the side library. Small. Dim, no windows. Miranda locked the door. The others clinked glasses. I want to thank you all, Miranda said, raising her flute. For your loyalty. Your trust. Your discretion. I recorded every word. Then she passed around flash drives. One to each. Preloaded. Unlabeled. This is your insurance, she said smoothly. If anything goes south, you keep it quiet. You keep your share. We all walk away clean. My fingers curled around my glass. A quote I once heard ran through my mind, the wolves don't hide in the dark. They host cocktail parties under chandeliers. Cut scene. Outside the library, the party roared louder. I slipped away, found the guest code room. Quiet. Empty. One security camera angled toward the floor, disabled. I popped open the flash drive Miranda gave me. Plugged it into my burner laptop. Files. Dozens. Invoices. Internal memos. One folder labeled St. Clair Fund. That was Eli's school. I clicked. Scholarship rosters. Bank withdrawals. Miranda's signature. My chest locked. Kids like mine. Then I saw the last file. Power of attorney, filed and notarized. Dated last year. Filed under Veronica Cross. My name. But not my signature. It granted Miranda financial control over an account I didn't know I had, one that matched the routing numbers on a document I'd found on the burner phone 2 weeks ago. They were using my name to funnel money. Laundering under my identity. If this broke, I'd go to prison. Not her. Not Nolan. Not Everett. Me. My throat dried. Behind me, the door creaked. I spun. It was Grant. He looked regretful. Miranda doesn't know I'm here, he said. You helped her forge my signature? I didn't know. At first. I swear. You work for her. You live with her. No. I survive her. He stepped closer. Last year she threatened to report Jasmine for credit fraud unless I agreed to move all our joint holdings under AMC's shell. I thought it'd go away. But then she used your name. I wanted to tell you. A crash echoed from the ballroom. Then a scream. We both froze. Then sprinted. The crowd had backed away from the center. Someone was on the floor. Everett. Unmoving. Eyes open. Glass shards around his feet. Miranda was kneeling beside him, screaming, her hands red, not with blood, but red wine. His chest wasn't rising. One waiter was already on the phone. I looked around. Nolan? Gone. The drive? Still in my hand. And suddenly it hit me. They didn't give us those drives as insurance. They gave us the drive to track who kept them. Who disappeared. Who leaked. And I had mine. In my goddamn hand. And a room full of eyes was watching. I parked 2 blocks away. Engine still running. I counted to 10. In, out. Like a heartbeat in a room full of threats. I closed the car door. The click echoed. No footsteps behind me. The alley light flickered. I moved fast. The black SUV. Engine off. Rear hatch open. A chain latch scratched. My pulse ratcheted. Breath shallow. Get in, a voice said. No warmth. Cold. Metallic. Before I could stutter protest, hands touched my arms, rough. Firm. Blindfold, snap. Darkness. Concrete floor. Wet. Cold. The stench of mold. Electric hum from a single bulb overhead. Chains rattled. I tasted fear. Sharp. Acrid. A door slammed. Lock turned. Then silence. My wrists were frozen cold to the metal cuffs. I jerked. Pain bloomed. Footsteps. Heavy. Calculated. Good to see you again, Veronica, said Sam Cross. My cousin. The blood I thought shared. His face blank slate in the dim. Same to you, I whispered. He clicked a folder onto the steel table. Inside, name plates. Transaction reports. Offshore accounts. Money trails winding through AMC Trust, across legal shells, ending in anonymous trusts. Looks like you poked the hornet's nest, he said. Calm. Too calm. I forced my breath steady. You helped build that nest. He shrugged. Build doesn't mean owned. Not anymore. A boot hit the table. Papers fluttered. A dog whistle tone beeped, sharp and knife-like. Door slides open. Grant Benton enters, pale, briefcase heavy in hand. Jasmine trailing behind him, lips red, eyes cold. You crossed the line, he said. Voice low. Controlled. I searched their faces. No fear. Only calculation. House arrest, Grant continued. For you. And your son gets a new home. One without complications. Jasmine smiled. A slow, cruel curl. Consider this a mercy. Rustling behind me. Screech of metal on metal. A second set of chains binding my ankles. They turned off the bulb. Darkness swallowed the room. Glass shattered. The swallowing dark quivered with movement. Footsteps. Slow at first. Then rush. Light snapped back. Miranda stood in the doorway. Suitcases at her feet. She said nothing. But her smile said enough. We leaked this file, she said. You vanish. Kinsmen gone. Funds vanish. School kids never made it. It's all gone. Everything tied to you. Silence. Then, the click of a gun sliding from holster. My throat closed. I remembered a line, mercy is the weapon of weak hands. I spat it out though my lips were dry. Then I acted. Feet kick. Chain snap. Pain whooshes, but I keep moving. One elbow jack to Grant's jaw. Then a knee smash to knock the gun free. The piece hits the floor, clang. One breath. I grab it. Shot rings. Bullets ricochet the walls. Sparks flare from overhead wires. Shadows dance. Then freeze. Miranda darts past me toward another door. Flashlight. Miranda used flashlight, fine. I bit down on the barrel. My teeth crack. She screams. Chaos erupts. Jasmine pulls out a phone. Dials. Panic in her fingers. I shove the gun into my jacket, keys trembling in my hand. Miranda lunges again. I shove, she hits the wall. Bricks shatter. Dust floats like ghosts. Sirens. Far. Soft. Growing. Nina's voice inside my head, revenge is the echo of your own silence. Cut scene. I grab the briefcase. I drag Eli's sneakers from under the seat. I rip open paperwork, files. Invoices. Transfers. Pictures. Names. Accounts. Sirens fire red strobes through barred windows. Footsteps rushing. Shouts. Grant stumbles. Jasmine screams. Miranda shields her kids. I run. Concrete stairs. My lungs burn. Outside, rain. Cold. Slick. Neon signs. Fog. I don't stop. A black SUV peels out. Tires claw asphalt. Tail lights vanish. Another car blocks the exit gate, police. Uniformed men holler. Drop it. Hands where we see them. Rain pounds. Headlights like justice. I stand there, soaked, trembling. Files in one hand. Gun in another. Eli is safe. But I know, this night changes everything. They didn't just try to take me. They tried to erase every trace of what they did. I've got their records now. Their names. Their crimes. And when this storm clears, their empire will drown. Eli's eyes met mine. Behind him, Miranda cocked the gun. Rain hammered the asphalt. Sirens cut the night into jagged pieces. Red and blue lights strobed across the warehouse walls like a heartbeat losing rhythm. Miranda's gun was pointed at Eli. My son's breath fogged in the cold air. His small fingers trembled. His eyes, wide, terrified, locked on mine. Time didn't slow. It sharpened. I stepped between them. Don't move, Miranda hissed. Put it down, I said, voice low, steady. This ends tonight. Her mascara ran like ink down porcelain. Her hand shook. You ruined everything. You did, I whispered. Long before I ever fought back. A line flickered through my mind. Some people destroy themselves and call it fate. This was not fate. This was choice. Hers. Behind Miranda, Grant stumbled out of the shadows, clutching his ribs, drenched in sweat. Sam lurked behind him, face pale, watching the scene unravel like a bad investment. Then, floodlights. FBI. 3 SUVs. Doors thrown open. Agents pouring out like a tide of consequence. Drop the weapon, someone shouted. Miranda jerked, eyes darting, breath hitching. Panic cracked through her perfect mask. It was supposed to work, she whispered. We had everything under control. No, I said. You just controlled everyone into silence. Grant tried to rush toward her. Miranda, don't. She swung the gun toward him. His hands shot up. Don't take another step, she screamed. The agents moved closer. Ma'am, put the weapon down. Her fingers twitched. Her world collapsing behind her eyes. In that instant, Jasmine stepped out from behind a stack of crates. She looked at Miranda. At Grant. At me. Then she said, soft but clear. She never loved you, Grant. She loved the money. And just like that, Miranda's grip faltered. The gun loosened, clattered to the concrete. Agents rushed forward. Miranda was slammed against the hood of a squad car, cuffs snapping tight around her wrists. Grant went next, shouting explanations no one cared to hear. Sam tried to run, but they tackled him 3 feet from the loading dock. Jasmine didn't move. She just watched it crumble. Cut scene. I ran to Eli. Held him so tight he squirmed. Mommy, I was scared. I know, baby. But you're safe now. His heartbeat pressed against my chest, rapid, fragile, alive. Nina appeared behind us, breathless, raincoat dripping. She grabbed my shoulder. It's over, Roni. I shook my head. No. It's just beginning. Because truth doesn't end when villains fall. It ends when the innocent can breathe again. Cut scene. Dawn broke over Cape May with a quiet the world didn't deserve. The boardwalk was empty. Waves rolled in slow, lazy curls. Eli held my hand, hopping between wooden planks. Nina handed me a coffee. You did it, she said. We did what needed doing. Funny how justice looks nothing like we imagine, Nina murmured. Sometimes it looks like consequences finally catching up. I nodded. And sometimes it looks like a 5-year-old who gets to grow up without fear. She smiled. Cut scene. A week later, I sat in a federal office signing statements. The evidence recovered, the drives, the forged documents, the shell accounts, everything pointed to Miranda, Grant, Sam, and Everett's cabal. AMC Trust collapsed overnight. Jasmine confessed her part. But she also handed over the video that started everything. She'd sent me the first email. The first clue. Why me? I asked her during a supervised interview. She looked down, fidgeting with her bracelet. Because you were the only one who didn't pretend not to see. Pain recognizes pain. I didn't know whether to thank her or hate her. Maybe both. Cut scene. 3 months later, Eli and I moved into a small but bright home near the shoreline. Not a mansion. Not luxury. But safe. Honest. Ours. He drew a picture on the first night. A house. A son. 2 people holding hands. Is that us? I asked. Yeah, he said proudly. This one's our real family. I kissed his forehead, my chest tight. There's a saying I once heard, if you want to know someone's soul, look at how they treat the ones they think can't fight back. Miranda thought I wouldn't fight. She thought silence made me weak. She was wrong. Cut scene. I stood on the pier at dusk, watching the tide roll in. The world felt lighter. Not perfect. Not fixed. But free. Eli ran up beside me. Slipped his hand into mine. Mom, he asked softly. Are the bad people gone now? They're gone, I said. But that doesn't matter as much as this. No one will ever make you feel small again. He grinned. Tooth-gapped. Sunlit. And right there, something inside me settled into place. I didn't win by screaming. I didn't win by breaking. I won by refusing to disappear. I left quietly. And karma did exactly what it always does. It unfolded. I never raised my voice. But the silence was loud enough to destroy everything they built.